What's up, you degens? What's going on? Good, I guess it's afternoon now where I am. Good morning if it's morning wherever you are. What's going on, guys? All right, let's get into the JASMY chart right off the hop. All right. So again, just sitting inside the buy zone, guys. Good DCA opportunity. Like I said this morning, I did a video earlier, guys. Listen, we could come all the way down to the bottom of this falling wedge pattern around 161 ish and still be in a massively bullish structure. Now, I'm not saying I think that's going to happen, so don't freak out. I'm just saying we could go all the way down there and still be bullish, okay, in the long term. So, but I don't think we will. Tomorrow is the election, right? Bitcoin's going to start to run. It should, at least as soon as Bitcoin breaks through its all-time high. Bring you over to the Bitcoin chart since I'm talking about it. As soon as Bitcoin breaks through its all-time high here, it's going to start to pull altcoins up with it. So altcoins will start to benefit. It just won't be the parabolic part of the altcoin season until later on, right? But Bitcoin should reverse this very soon. Like I said, it looks like it wants to come down and kind of test the 30-day SMA as support here. But the 30-day SMA being at 66,700, really, really bullish, guys. This continues to raise our floor. For me, setting in higher lows is absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal for further growth. So we'll stay on top of it. We'll keep an eye on it, guys. Let's go have a look at the crypto bubbles. See what's going on. Boom, Miria having itself a nice little recovery day. 20193, up almost 6%. JASMY's actually up 1.8% right now, guys. Very nice. Very, very nice. XRP. The only thing down right now is KASPA. Guys, KASPA at 10 cents. Are you kidding me, man? I almost hope KASPA falls below 10 cents and hits like 8, because I would start to accumulate more KASPA. Even though my entry point is at below a penny, I believe that, picking it up at 8 cents is still going to be one hell of a steal of a deal, guys. Like I said, 3 to 5 cents for KASPA, or 3 to 5 cents, $3 to $5 for KASPA. I likely will be exiting around $2 though. But yeah, I think that's absolutely phenomenal. So good opportunity as we look across the broader market, though. We're having some nice recovery this morning so far. It's a good start to the week, guys. Listen, it's Monday. It's a fresh week. It's a fresh start. Check it out, man. Florida up 13.5%. Doge up 8.5%. Trios. We're having some good turnaround. We might see a green day today, guys, at the end of it all. We might see this day flip green. Very nice. I'm actually going to go over to the lower time frames on Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we're going to end up turning green on this day, guys. I don't know. I could be wrong, but, All right, let's get into the news, guys. Just so you know, I will get to the comments in the comments section. I got to get through the news first, and then we'll get into the chat, okay? So bear with me on that. Guys, now Max and I touched on this yesterday in the live stream. Hopefully you guys checked it out. If you didn't, go check it out. A lot of good alpha there from my brother Max. Fantastic researcher, man. So Neo-Sun says, France seems to be mirroring Japanese initiatives this year, including eventually the linking of the health insurance data. Now, what we're talking about here, guys, is the My Number card in Japan. They're linking driver's licenses into it. This is a slow integration into an all-in-one card for Japanese citizens. Your driver's license, your health information, everything about you will be on your My Number card. Europe has followed suit. They call their card the Digital Identity Wallet in Europe. And why is this important? Well, because they're integrating JASMY's technology into it. The My Number card, by the way, is going to be integrated into the Apple iPhone in March of 2025, which is this spring coming up, which has utilizing JASMY's technology in it, right? So JASMY being adopted on a global scale, my friends. Global scale. Okay. Now, for all you, I know that a lot of you guys over on the Patreon, we like to talk about DeFi staking and stuff like that. Check this out, guys. Staking rewards on Algorand are around the corner. Listen up.
We're really on the tech side gearing up for consensus incentives, which are going to be a really important, I think, change to the protocol.
Also known as staking rewards.
Right. Sorry. Let me start again. We're gearing up for staking rewards. And of course, you know, Mark is right. We have to use consistent terminology because otherwise we're going to confuse people. And so staking rewards are, of course, the notion that you will get a reward in algo for producing a block or minting a block on the Algorand network. And we are calling it staking rewards and not consensus incentives. So that consensus incentives word is out the door. Staking rewards is what we're going live with, and that's what we'll be speaking about in our press releases.
I am definitely going to be participating in staking my Algorand.
And we're targeting some alpha here. I can share. We're targeting December week 1 for go live in mainnet, where people will be able to turn on their computers and get going. And Apple just released, of course, the new M4 Mac Mini that I've been kind of eyeing up as a perfect low power, low cost device. Low power, not low cost. It's expensive, but low power runs at like 20 watts or 15 watts, and it's a great device for running a node. But of course, you can run it on any computer that you like. But it's a huge thing for us. I think it's going to be really a tectonic shift for Algorand, because not only is it a philosophical kind of pivot or turn in terms of like moving from a place where we didn't pay or didn't pay rewards. The protocol didn't pay any rewards for producing blocks and securing the network. Okay, that's a philosophical shift. Now we will be paying people to secure the network, essentially, or the protocol will be paying people to secure the network. But also, it drives a lot of excitement. I think a lot of new eyes will be on Algorand when it enters into this new era. It's going to attract people from
I think what's interesting is it's new for the Algorand ecosystem, right? This is incredibly new. This is incredibly exciting, but it's actually not new for a lot of others in other ecosystems, which I think is so great. It's like an easy concept. Mark, I'm trying to say your job is going to be easy, but it's going to be an easy concept to market, but I know it's not, but it is. That's what's so exciting about it, is that it's new for us, but it's bringing us, on par with a lot of other ecosystems as well.
Sure. It was really cool, and we'll talk a lot more about this at the next podcast. But I think what's also really cool is how easy it is to actually run a node and stake with Algorand. Like you guys know this. Like I'm using my own like 10-year-old kind of Mac Pro to actually run a node, and it's just running perfectly. So you don't really need a huge amount of like computing power to be able to run a node, which is super cool.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait for that.
And so we will, as Mark says, be rolling out a piece of software, a great app that will help you run a node, easy peasy. It'll help you do all the bits that you need to do, like issue a participation key, all the techie bits. It'll just handle it all for you, and we'll do a demo of that.
Guys, just so you know, this is something that we are bringing to the Patreon as well, is running nodes for passive income on new projects and stuff. A lot of people made a lot of money running nodes for the likes of Miria and KASPA, stuff like that. To be able to run them on Algorand is going to be huge. This is a great way to make extra dry powder in crypto, guys, to be able to deploy it, either keep it, stack it, or convert it into something else, accumulate JASMY or whatever it is that you want, right? It is a fantastic way to make more money. We are bringing nodes over to the Patreon. The link is down below for that, guys. Get over there. You don't want to miss out on these opportunities. All right, what else do we have? We got Squawk Box in the house. Depending on who's elected, I will adjust the portfolio, says billionaire investor John Paulson.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Our next guest is billionaire hedge fund titan John Paulson, who's also backing former President Trump. Joining us now in an exclusive interview is John Paulson, founder and president of Paulson & Company. John, it's great to see you this morning. It appears that the race has tightened based on both some of the polls and then the betting markets. I know you're very close to the Trump campaign. I'm curious if there are any numbers that you've been looking at specifically or have had access to that others might not, that you might be able to share with us about how you're thinking about where things stand right now.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. I agree. The race is very tight, but I'm optimistic that the president will win. He has strong support across all segments of Americans. So I think he will win, but we'll have to see the results after Tuesday.
As an investor, I'm curious what you've done with your portfolio and how much you're betting, if you will, that he does win. Folks like Dan Loeb were out just even a couple of weeks ago suggesting that they believed that he would win and therefore was rotating their portfolio to things that they thought would benefit in a Trump administration. Have you done the same?
We haven't really adjusted the portfolio yet based on the election outcome, but depending on who's elected, I will have adjust the portfolio. You know, under Harris's plan, you know, she wants to raise taxes on capital gains, raise taxes on corporations, raise the marginal tax rate, and she also had this plan to tax unrealized gain, which seems improbable, but it's something to be concerned about.
Real quick, guys, I just had a comment there. It's perturbing to me that they're going to be printing more money, but at the same time that they're printing more money, creating money out of thin air, they want to increase taxes on you at the same time. Why are you increasing taxes on me if you're just going to go print more money? It doesn't compute, man.
So I'd be concerned about being long equities if Harris wins. On the other hand, Trump has a very pro-growth agenda. He wants to reduce government spending, reduce the regulations, support domestic energy and manufacturing, keep taxes stable. So I think under Trump it would be more beneficial for the economy and more beneficial for the stock market.
And do you believe, I mean, we've talked, I know we've debated the issue of tariffs many a times with you and talked about potentially the inflationary pressures of that. I think one of the real questions is if, in fact, those tariffs were to go into effect and perhaps be used as a negotiating tool or whatnot, whether the offset, which would be perhaps either more drilling or things of that sort, would it really actually offset the impact of those tariffs? Because you look at a lot of economists out there who have suggested that they won't.
That's a good question, Andrew. I think you have to look at the overall economic plan. And I think under Trump's overall economic plan, inflation will come down and we'll have a higher growth, lower inflationary environment than we would have under Harris. The biggest contributor to inflation is high government spending. And spending under Biden-Harris has been pretty much out of control. The deficit this year increased to almost $2 trillion. It's up 14% over last year. And there's no plan from either Biden or Harris to stem the control of government spending.
What did you?
It'll be interesting, guys. We are definitely going to be altering, changing around our portfolios over on the Patreon as well, depending on what happens. Right now, we are in a very, very big, juicy swing trade that we're up very, very big on. And the election has very, very powerful implications on that swing trade. So that's another thing that we're doing, making a lot of money over there, guys. State of Michigan pension fund reports holding $6,981,700 in Bitcoin spot ETFs, guys. Massive, massive news. I keep showing you guys this more and more, and every day, thousands of Bitcoin are being taken out of circulation, being taken off the market to the point where you're not going to be able to buy it anymore pretty soon, guys. And when that happens, the price is going to go absolutely insane, right? If you're holding, you're going to look back in 10 years and you're going to go, wow, was I glad I was accumulating at that time, man. You're going to be saying, I wish I had accumulated more, right? That's basically what's going to be what. Miria, fantasy leagues extended. I love to see Miria, guys, doing their thing. They're out there having tournaments, fantasy leagues, having people coming in, onboarding people into their games, giving away prizes, having competitions. This is what you want to see out of a Web3 gaming platform, guys. Very, very big things. I am mega bullish on Myria. I think Myria is going to mirror what Gala did in the last bull run. Let's get into an article. How's that sound? Yeah, let's get into an article here. All right, so is this why Bitcoin's price lost 4K in 2 days? It was less than a week ago when the primary cryptocurrency skyrocketed to 73,500 for the first time since an all-time high registered in March of this year. The landscape seems entirely different now. The question of what has changed pops up. The chart above paints a clear and painful picture of BTC's recent price moves. As mentioned above, it came $150 away from charting a new all-time high on Tuesday, but lost a lot of the momentum in the following days. After the Friday fall to under 69,000, it jumped to 71,006 later that day. However, it went on to retreat once again, currently struggling at 67,700, which means that it has lost about $4,000 since Friday evening. Although there is no certainty behind the reasoning, the most obvious one points to the U.S. presidential election and the recent drop in odds for Donald Trump. The former president made a 180 turn, I think they meant degree turn, regarding the cryptocurrency industry and has become a vocal supporter now, making numerous promises like allowing Bitcoin mining to thrive in the U.S. and even hinting at purchasing BTC for U.S. reserves. Here's the thing, guys. I see people say, well, he said, 5 years ago or whatever that he didn't like crypto. Okay, yes, he did. However, when people get educated, when people get information and they learn about something, they're allowed to change their minds, right? I don't know how people don't grasp that concept, but his odds to win the election on Tuesday, however, declined hard in the past few days, according to data from election betting odds. Trump has lost 9.8% in the past week, most of which happened since Friday. He's still in the lead, but only by 51.7% against 47.9% for Kamala Harris. The blockchain-based alternative Polymarket shows that an even more dire picture. Trump's odds peaked at 66.9% on Wednesday against 33.1% for Harris, but have changed to 53.7% and 46.4% respectively. This means that Republicans has lost more than 13% in just the past few days. They haven't. It's such a weird concept, right? They're talking about odds here. They said they've lost odds. I mean, odds are just odds. Odds aren't actually things, right? No matter who's winning, odds are winning. I mean, Trump was winning by a landslide in the last election. I went to bed, woke up, and Biden won the election. So what are we talking about here? They never lost anything. They just lost other people's assumptions about who was going to win. I digress. Recent history shows that the U.S. election, as well as local economy state, have resulted in massive volatility for Bitcoin. Consequently, even though it is still uncertain who will win on Tuesday, chances are that there will be a ton of fluctuations for BTC and the altcoins, so traders should be wary. So guys, there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of what is going to happen next right now, and that's why we're kind of on pause until we find out what's going to happen. The market will respond on the 6th, the day after tomorrow, when we know who the next president is going to be. So here we go. This is a week where I think the Fed just wants to be in and out. So just to remind you guys, we do have a Fed rate cut, most likely 25 basis points, I believe, on Thursday, but let's listen into this.
The Wall Street Journal had an article over the weekend that suggested that the Fed was going to look through those weaker than anticipated jobs numbers that we got on Friday. You think that's the case?
I think it's the case. I think they should look through them. As you point out, it was driven by hurricanes and a strike. And the underlying economy is certainly stronger than that kind of labor market would suggest. So I think they'll look through them, and I think they'll do what the market expects, which is a 25 basis point cut.
If they're looking through it and the market's weaker than anticipated, or what market's maybe not as weak as those numbers anticipated. Why not hold off? Why not wait and see?
Well, a couple of reasons. One is, this is a week where I think the Fed just wants to be in and out and doesn't want to surprise anyone. So there's let's do what's expected. Secondly, at the last meeting, they suggested that they still had some way to go to get towards neutral. And I think they do. And so I think the best judgment this time and when they will follow is to do what the market expects.
I think if they pause, I think we'll see a little bit of a dip. I don't think that they'll pause though, but I'm just saying, like, if they did pause, we'd see a little bit of not a crash, but a dip.
Maybe when they get to the next meeting, depending on how the data play in over the next period of time, that meeting may be a little bit more interesting one where possibly other ideas might be on the table. But this one, it seems like both the data and prudence suggest doing as the market expects.
Is there any way to not look political if you cut by 50 basis points right before the election, 50 basis points during an election, essentially, and then hold off afterwards and say we're going to wait and see at that point when we hopefully will know who the next candidate or the next president is going to be at that point? I guess the answer is you're always looking to not pay any attention to the politics and it doesn't enter the room or the question. But from the outside perspective, it seems like it might open them to criticism.
Look, there's always a risk of that, but I think the reality is, the data on balance have been consistent with the fact that inflation is coming down. There's no one who can deny that. I think almost everyone would say that at the numbers where they currently are, they're in somewhat restrictive territory. So now was the time to start moving. The 50 basis point move as their first was, could have gone either way. But nevertheless, they made a decision to move a little bit more quickly. Like this time and maybe the next time, depending on how the data play out, it's just carrying out a plan that had already been put in place. And I'd say the vast majority of people take it at face value as being consistent with inflation coming down and the desire to get back to that elusive thing known as neutral. So I would say for most people, politics are not going to be what they think about when they think about the Fed. I think it's rather that the data encourage, mandated, allow this kind of movement towards less restrictive territory.
Roger, just from everything you see, everything you hear, people you talk to, what's your best estimate of where we are in the economy right now?
I think the economy is in good shape overall, but there are certainly some pockets where it's not as good as one would hope. Obviously, we still have some fundamental supply and demand imbalances in the housing sector. We're short several million houses, and that's creating difficulty for people who want to get into housing. There are parts of manufacturing that I think is still relatively weak, and I've heard that from a few CEOs in that space as well. The flip side, obviously, is technology is driving things forward in a positive way. And importantly, though there's some stresses at the lower end of the consumer spectrum, most consumers are doing reasonably well, partially because wages are picking up and have kept up with inflation or outstripping it. And then for those who are fortunate enough to be in equity markets, obviously this thing called the wealth effect has been important. So on balance, a good solid economy with some pockets of weakness and some unevenness in certain sectors.
And what about the fact that groceries are unaffordable? Oh, forgot that doesn't matter in the economy, right? That doesn't matter in the economy, apparently. Gas prices out of control. All right, what do we got? Who's better for Bitcoin? Let's find out.
I think it doesn't matter long term who wins the election. I think short term, a Harris win is negative for Bitcoin short term because people think, oh, Gensler's going to stay and Warren's going to be in power, and that's bad. And it is, but Bitcoin has proven over and over and over again that it can survive all the dumb attacks based on FUD. But short term, I think that would be bad. Long term, it's actually probably better because that side has drunk the Kool-Aid of the cult of Kelton, and they believe that MMT works and that you can print as much money as you want and give money to all your cronies. So they're going to keep doing that, right? I mean, the fact that we are still sending billions, tens of billions of dollars to Ukraine in what's just a blatant money laundering operation. I mean, it's as blatant as the nose on your face, and yet we're still doing it. And that has to be financed, and the only way to finance it is to print money, which is to devalue. And that's why I just paid, like $18 for lunch, instead of 10. So that means that one Bitcoin priced in dollars will be much higher. So long term, if the Democrats stay in charge, moonshot.
So basically what he's saying, guys, is that the silver lining to Democrats staying in power, Kamala winning, would basically be that they will continue printing money en masse, which is, it's not great for the dollar, but it is great for risk on assets, so your crypto, your Bitcoin will pump to the moon, essentially. So I don't know if Donald Pump will print money or not, probably, but who knows how much, right? Just in, Hong Kong approved a broker to market Bitcoin and crypto structured products for the first time. Asia is getting ready. I told you guys, watch for a lot of money coming into digital assets from the East. I keep saying it. BTC dips below 70,000, but whales are still buying. 5 whales just accumulated a massive 2,780 BTC, worth $192.4 million since November 1st. It's been 3 days. Giga bullish, guys. I keep saying it. Thousands of Bitcoin are being taken out of circulation every single day, guys. Supply and demand is going to come. Soon you are not going to be able to purchase Bitcoin anymore. The reserves are going down on exchanges. Largest European telecom, Dutch Telecom, to start mining Bitcoin using surplus energy. So not only are they scooping it up, guys, but they're also starting to mine it for themselves, right? It's right in front of our faces, guys. Michael Vandepop, it's the big week. Elections and the Fed. Last week, the worst jobs data in 3 years. So I'm assuming that up-only season is literally around the corner. Bitcoin tested the green area of support. It's hard to tell which way we're moving, expecting some more volatility to come. Until we know who's winning the election, that will help the market decide what it wants to do. We got another video on Squawk Box. We'll go to that, and then we'll go over to an article. On the Democratic side, free trade, international relations, I think, is one of the most comfortable about those, says Bob Diamond. Check it out.
And family-owned business.
Right, it's weird because you're a Kamala bro, are you not?
So I was going to say, you not only his
he signed the letter. I know
Kamala Harris. Yeah. He was part of that article.
That's what I mean.
That we talked about last week with Doug Parker and Jeff Sonnenfeld, saying we led some of America's largest companies. Here's why we're voting for Harris, not Trump.
Yep.
So
led's the operative term.
But I think on this specific issue, Andrew, it's very hard not to be clear that the attitude toward
100%. I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to understand your position.
Well, I was specifically relating that to kind of the attitude toward consolidation in regional and community.
Totally, but I guess what I'm asking is, you appear to be willing to either do something almost against your own business interests if you believe that consolidation is needed and you could participate in that, if in fact you want to vote for her. And so I'm trying to understand why you're voting for her.
A lifelong Democrat. That's for starters.
No, I'm a lifelong Republican until the first Trump administration. I had never voted Democrat in a presidential election.
I voted for Jimmy Carter.
I just think the risks are too high. That's all.
Right. More than in the first Trump administration.
Probably. Yeah.
Geopolitical.
I think The Economist wrote a very good article last week about the difference between the first term and this term.
The Journal has weighed in on that too. That it would go from the Reagan plan to the Oprah plan in terms of giveaways and tax breaks for everyone and tariffs and all the other things. But then we always have that argument about, or at least debate about what's negotiating and what's really in the cards. And then we have on the other side, what did Vice President Harris, which of the previous statements she's made about a lot of different issues does she still believe in, and which does she not believe in anymore? So it's very strange that both sides are like, a lot of times both sides, proponents are distancing themselves from the actual policies and saying, well, it's not going to happen.
But the biggest challenge, I think, for all of us is the vast majority of people are not going, this is the best candidate I've ever seen. So, you know, this is not the situation that we
on both sides. People are voting against the other candidate. It's crazy.
But explain to me just what your perspective is on this, because you sort of said, well, all I think is it's just too high risk, and that's my only view. But is there more to it than that?
Yeah, I think
I saw you wrote this article, so I feel like there's probably more to what you're saying.
You know, I think the attitude toward tariffs is an example. If you take kind of the middle case of tariffs, we're back to 1935. I think that's a negative. But most importantly, I find it surprising myself that people will be voting based on the fact that he's not really going to do what he says.
Both sides.
I mean,
and she's not going to do all those horrible things.
So on the balance of things, I'm definitely a supporter of the Democratic candidate. I think it's somewhat balanced. Most of us are having difficult decisions on the regulatory side, as we said. I think frankly, the Republicans will be much more proactive, much more supportive.
So then what's the risk? You seem very.
But I think on the Democratic side, I wanted to give both sides. On the Democratic side, free trade, international relations. I think I feel much more comfortable about those. So
Bob,
tomorrow's going to be interesting, guys. It's going to be interesting. I haven't decided if I'm going to be live streaming the coverage as of yet, but we'll see. I don't know if YouTube will allow me to live stream it without, giving me crap. But check this out. Bitcoin shows strong resilience amid healthy correction and election volatility. Bitcoin's recent market dynamics reflect a resilient asset undergoing a healthy correction after a rally. Bitcoin initially surpassed 65K, challenging bearish outlook with a new high, marking a pivotal moment since its last all-time high. Although Bitcoin currently trades around $67,694, down approximately 8.8% from last Tuesday's peak, analysts affirm this pullback is reasonable, especially considering its recent upward surge. Significantly, the correction coincides with the election-related anticipation, adding an extra layer of volatility. If Kamala Harris wins, the market may experience short-term declines. However, analysts see mid to long-term potential for bullish growth, regardless of the election outcome. Both Harris and Pump are seen as long-term positives for Bitcoin, as Federal Reserve's policies on monetary printing are expected to persist regardless. So basically, no matter who wins, they're going to keep printing money. Besides, historical patterns suggest election results often bring temporary shifts without altering the trend. Notably, there are increased reports of over-the-counter OTC Bitcoin shortages, intensifying the pressure, which means they're running out of Bitcoin, guys, over OTC. So what do you think happens when these hedge funds and stuff have to start purchasing Bitcoin on the open market? That's right. The price go up. OTC desk supply appears critically low, with sources suggesting a drop to around 110,000 to 130,000 BTC from an estimated 400,000 BTC balance. Guys, it's running out fast, guys. This supply squeeze has encouraged prominent buyers such as BlackRock to purchase directly through exchanges like Coinbase. Consequently, analysts anticipate this dwindling OTC supply will catalyze more visible price surges as large-scale buyers shift to exchanges. Investors are eyeing the $65,000 level as a key support zone. Many have set long orders around this market, anticipating possible short-term dips. Should Bitcoin revisit this area, it could trigger a wave of buying, potentially purchasing price towards a projected range of 74,000 to 78,000. With a bullish overall trend, Bitcoin seems poised for gains, with analysts suggesting a V-shaped recovery may soon emerge. You love to see it, guys. You love to see it. All right, we got some wise words from Coach JV. Listen up, guys. For those of you who have trouble with your emotions in crypto,
be very, very, very careful. Now we're heading into the territory where emotions are going to rock people's plan. You have to be extremely stoic, number one. Number two is you must have a game plan. And number three, you should always have an exit plan in everything but your relationship. So you're starting to see in the cryptocurrency market, people are pointing fingers back and forth. This is going to collapse. This isn't going to make it. What is your plan? What do you believe about your investments? Anything I talk about on here is exactly what I'm invested in, and I don't let anybody FUD me in or FUD me out of my plan. I have stuck with my narrative and repeated the same things over and over and over again since 2020 when I started speaking about this. That's number one. Once you create a plan, stick with it. Number two is be very careful of these hype trains and all these things that they're creating out there to get you to get rich quick, to jump in and out of these cryptos. That is not a true long-term fundamental wealth building plan. If you're chasing meme coins to try to get rich quick, you're gonna get wrecked overall. It creates addictive behaviors. Now, if you're playing around with 10% of your portfolio and it's not your main strategy, you might be okay. But I don't chase anything. I build a plan, I stick with it, and I allow that plan to unfold and let things flow to me. Anything you chase will run from you. So what I'm going to say on this video is what I believe. I believe that companies like Ripple and the token XRP are going to leave a dent in the universe. I'm going to show you a video from 3 years ago where they verbalized that. I'm going to share with you how much has transpired since then. Now remember, everything I talk about is what I'm invested in or what I am doing. You should do your own research. Check this out.
So I just wanted to get the emotions part of what he was talking about out there, guys. And I say this all the time over on the Patreon. We talk about controlling our emotions, right? Things are going to get crazy and people are going to get crypto drunk. And, you know, with euphoria, and you're going to have to learn to control that. Microsoft shareholders must vote by December 9th to buy Bitcoin for the corporate treasury. Bitcoin's price is going to moon once Apple and Microsoft adopt the BTC strategy, BTC MicroStrategy strategy. 100% agree with that, guys. That is going to be huge when we see that vote come in. I'm very, very jacked up for that. A little bit of a KASPA update for you guys. KASPA could be much further along in the development of smart contracts than expected. Enclosed, you will find the Medium article. So if we get very lucky, we could have 10 blocks per second in smart contracts on KASPA in the near future. As we can see, the highlighted part, one source preferring to remain anonymous, reported that a private testnet for smart contracts has already been deployed for core developers. With final stages nearing completion, another source leaked that a major exchange has already begun preparing back-end systems for KASPA smart contracts functionality, suggesting that the infrastructure for being set up well in advance of the public announcement. Do not sleep on KASPA, guys. You are making a mistake. Oh, things got a little wonky there for a second. All right, what else do we got? Spot XRP ETFs.
Let's stick with the markets here. We've got a very special guest this morning. Jenny Johnson, President and CEO of Franklin Templeton, which has $1.5 trillion in assets under management. The 76-year-old firm was one of the roughly dozen to launch a spot Bitcoin ETF just last week after the SEC gave the go-ahead. Jenny, great to have you with us here on set.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start off with the Bitcoin ETF. I do want to, of course, get your take on the markets, but in terms of the Bitcoin ETF, we've seen massive inflows. That was expected in the early days. What do you expect as time moves on, and who are the incremental investors in this ETF in your view?
You know, it's funny. I'm known for saying that Bitcoin's the greatest distraction from one of the greatest disruptions in financial services, which is blockchain. So a lot of people took that as I'm not a believer in Bitcoin, and yet, you know, launching this ETF, you can see obviously the demand that's out there for Bitcoin, and I think there's a lot of reasons why that is. I think that one, from a blockchain standpoint, the ability to pay, Bitcoin's going to be a key component of that. And the technology is going to open up a lot of really interesting types of investment opportunities. We actually launched a tokenized money market fund. We're the first mutual fund first traditional asset manager to actually launch a 40 Act fund on a public blockchain, on the Stellar blockchain. So Bitcoin is just one of the suite of what we think are opportunities here. You know, one of the things that made me a believer is as I went around the world talking to people who would tell you, I had somebody who said, I keep 50% of my savings in Bitcoin because if I say the wrong thing in my country, I could have my assets confiscated. I remember talking to somebody in Israel who said, my parents and their parents had all of their assets confiscated. They keep a portion of it in Bitcoin. So there's a fear component to it that is considered almost a insurance or safety component. But I also think it's really important to fueling what is a next real opportunity in this blockchain world.
Right. So, I mean, the scenarios that you just outlined, that's the case for holding Bitcoin, the actual, you know, you have the keys to the security as opposed to investing in an ETF. Right, so there's a use case for both.
For sure, but that still keeps a floor on the price, right? So it keeps on the floor on the price. And then if you've actually tried to acquire and deal with the keys, it's really complicated. Yeah. Right? I mean, I did it at one point, and then I was trying to actually figure out how to get back in, and it's hard. And so being able to open it up and have access to that through an ETF and just simply through your brokerage account is a much better way to access it.
That's something we are exploring, guys, over on the Patreon right now. We're talking a lot about whether we should be purchasing spot Bitcoin ETFs through the bear market coming up in 2026, or if we should continue on with self-custody of Bitcoin. It's going to be very, very interesting. Legend of Alexander with the super chat. Thank you so much, brother. Did more research on SD, so 14% for staking, and they did just a big buyback. People are saying $5. Some say $65. It's hard to find more information. Let's have a look, man. What is the latest on this? Some people are saying $5. Some people are saying 65. What was the amount of the buyback that they did? If you know, let me know what it is. How many tokens they bought back? Because it would definitely help the tokenomics, right? It's kind of sideways today, but yeah, I would love to know what this is. And did they destroy the tokens they bought back? Like, what are they doing with them? Over 265,000. Okay. Well, I mean, that is a decent sized buyback for sure, but I mean, a max supply of 150 million. There's only about 1/3 in circulation the way it sits right now. I'm going to try to stay on top of this. This is very fascinating to me. What's going on with this project? Liquid staking. Yeah. DeFi staking play. I'm going to do a little bit of looking into this too, man. We're going to get to the bottom of this, brother. We are going to get to the bottom of this. Right. And thank you for helping us set our goal, man. We're going to set a new goal here. There we go. We set a new goal. It's awesome, man. Awesome. Help the channel reach the goal, guys, and I will do a look at your favorite altcoin, and I will do a price prediction on it. So check it out. All right. So what else do we have going on here? In case we looked at KASPA, check that out. Oh, yes, big trouble coming in for the government. Check it out, guys. In record time, Paul Graywall says, the judge in our FDIC government FOIA request, the FDIC is in a lot of trouble here. The case has ordered that the agency to produce the Operation Choke Point 2.0 pause letter. We appreciate the court's consideration. Some much needed sunlight on its way. Guys, They are exposing choke point 2.0. These the FDIC going after the banks to stop the banks, stop the on and off ramps for crypto illegally. We are about to see a light shined on these dark places, guys, that happen behind the scenes. Big things are coming. Here's your court order. And for those Swift, sorry, what do we got here? Do you think everyone's favorite last cycle Polkadot will make a comeback? Crazy how it pumped. Yeah, I think Polkadot will do fine. I do. I think Polkadot will do good. I like the Polkadot ecosystem. I like a star. I like Glimmer, Moonbeam, a lot of that stuff. Moonwell, I believe, a lot of good stuff over there. I am a fan of the Polkadot ecosystem for sure. I think it will do fine. I really, really do. And for you Swift fans out there, check it out. Swift utilizing their AI, their Bridgers AI, covering some of the latest news today. So we're going to listen into this, guys.
Okay, so you guys have really flooded us with Web3 news this week.
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin is all over the place.
Yeah.
Crypto whales are, making big moves.
Right.
We've even got some people making some pretty bold predictions about the future of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So let's break it all down.
Okay.
See if we can learn something this week.
Sounds good.
We are diving into Embleon.ai's weekly highlights this week.
All right.
Those guys always do an amazing job, finding the top 10 things you need to know about Web3.
Yeah, they do.
So what's got you buzzing this week?
Well, I think the contrast is really what jumps out at me.
Okay.
You've got some like classic crypto volatility,
right?
Bitcoin dipping below $71,000 and $70,000.
Whoa! In 1 week.
In 1 week.
Wow.
Ethereum also took a plunge below $2,500.
Yeah, I saw that.
But then at the same time,
Yeah.
you've got Polymarket setting record trading volume.
Really?
Yeah, like through the roof.
Wow.
$2.282 billion.
That's wild. Okay, so those price dips you mentioned,
Yeah.
definitely caught my eye too.
Mm.
It feels like every time I refresh the charts on my phone, it's like a whole new story.
Right.
So like what factors could even be driving these drops?
Yeah.
Is this the start of a crypto crash?
I mean, it's never just one thing, right?
Right.
It's always this really fascinating mix of factors all pushing and pulling.
Yeah.
And right now, I think there's just a lot of macroeconomic uncertainty.
Like what kind of stuff?
Global events, inflation,
Right.
interest rates, it all plays a role.
Okay.
And then, on top of that, you've got sentiment within the crypto community itself.
Yeah.
And that can be just as influential.
Absolutely.
Remember that top trader
Yeah.
who said they're sitting on the sidelines until after the US election?
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, that kind of hesitation
Right.
that can really send ripples throughout the entire market.
That's such a good point because people think of crypto as like this.
Right.
It's its own thing separate from the world.
Yeah, in a vacuum.
Yeah. But it's not at all. Real world events definitely have a very real impact.
Absolutely. And speaking of impact, we got to talk about these whales
Okay.
making waves.
The whales. Yeah.
One is like gobbling up 500 Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is like dumping over 2,000.
Wild.
It's insane. For our listeners out there who might not be swimming with the whales just yet.
Right.
What does that term even mean in the crypto world?
Well, you can think of them as like the blue whales
Okay.
of the crypto ocean.
Okay.
So basically, a whale is an individual or an entity that holds a massive amount of cryptocurrency.
So like an actual whale.
Yeah, exactly.
Massive.
And just like their counterparts in the ocean, when they move, they create waves.
Right.
So a whale buying or selling huge amounts can really shift the tide, especially in a market
Oh, yeah.
as volatile as crypto.
For sure. Okay. So could these whales actually be contributing to those Bitcoin and Ethereum dips we're seeing?
It's definitely possible.
I mean, the numbers are pretty staggering when you look at them.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
We're talking about like a $34.9 million purchase
What?
versus like a $141.5 million sell-off.
Whoa.
That's
So
a huge difference.
big difference, but it's important to remember
Yeah.
that even though those sound like huge numbers,
Mm-hmm.
they're actually just a tiny little drop
Okay.
in the overall Bitcoin ocean.
Right.
You know what I think is more important than the actual numbers, though,
What's that?
is the sentiment
Okay.
that these moves could represent.
Interesting.
Is that whales selling because they're panicking,
Right.
or is it a calculated strategy?
Oh,
That's the real question.
that's a good question.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Right.
Okay, that really puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, let's ride this wave over to Polymarket now.
Okay.
You mentioned its record-breaking trading volume earlier,
I did.
which is super impressive considering that, other parts of the crypto world are seeing red right now. So first of all, can you just give our listeners like a quick explainer on what Polymarket even is?
Sure.
And why it might be thriving in this kind of climate?
Yeah. So Polymarket is basically this really interesting platform.
Okay.
It's built on blockchain technology, and it's what's called a decentralized prediction market.
Okay.
So imagine people placing bets.
Okay, I like this.
But not on, horses or sports,
Right.
but on future events.
Oh, interesting.
Like elections, economic indicators, or really anything you can think of.
Oh, okay.
And so this unique approach might actually be driving its success.
In what way?
Because it's not directly tied to the price of
Right.
specific
Yeah.
cryptocurrencies.
Right.
It could be attracting investors who are looking for,
Like a safe haven?
a different kind of opportunity during a really volatile time.
Okay, so it's almost like
Yeah.
its own separate current running alongside the main crypto flow.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, I like that. All right, so shifting gears just a little bit here.
Yeah.
We also saw this week that 21 shares filed for an XRP ETF with the US SEC.
Yes, they did.
So can you just remind our listeners what an ETF is?
Of course.
And why this news is making waves,
Okay.
especially for XRP?
So an ETF, which stands for Exchange Traded Fund, it's essentially a way for investors to kind of get into the game without having to directly own the asset itself.
They don't have to buy a ton of XRP.
Exactly. So in this case, an XRP ETF would allow people to invest in a basket of XRP without directly holding the cryptocurrency.
Gotcha.
And if this ETF gets approved, it could really open the floodgates.
So like,
institutional investors, everyday investors.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
Interesting.
It would make it much easier for them to get exposure to XRP.
Right.
And that could lead to, a surge in its price and
Sure.
legitimacy.
So should our listeners be watching the XRP tides too?
I mean, whether or not you should personally jump on the XRP wave really depends on your own investment strategy and how much risk you're comfortable with.
Right.
But it's certainly a development worth watching.
Okay, so a lot of potential ripples there.
Definitely.
Okay, for our final deep dive this week, let's tackle that bold statement about Bitcoin's future.
All right.
One of our sources this week claimed that Bitcoin is now part of the global financial infrastructure. That feels like a really big statement.
It is a big statement.
Are we actually there yet? And what does that even mean in practical terms?
It's a strong statement for sure.
Right.
And there's definitely some debate around it.
Okay.
On one hand,
Yeah.
it's true that Bitcoin is gaining some real traction in the mainstream world.
Okay.
I mean, we are seeing countries adopt it as legal tender.
Oh, yeah.
More businesses are accepting it as payment.
Right.
That's definitely a step towards real integration.
Sure.
But then on the flip side,
Yeah.
Bitcoin still faces a lot of challenges.
Like what?
Regulatory hurdles and that persistent volatility that we were talking about.
That seems to never go away.
It's always going to be there. So the reality is probably somewhere in between.
Okay.
Think of global financial infrastructure, like this complex network of systems.
Okay.
So things like SWIFT,
Okay.
which is the network that banks use for international transfers. That's part of that infrastructure.
Okay.
And so Bitcoin is kind of weaving itself into that network.
Right.
But whether it's truly like a core strand,
Right.
that's still unfolding.
Yeah, it's like we're watching this new current emerge.
Right.
But we don't really know where it's going to flow next.
Exactly.
So after swimming through all of this Web3 news this week,
Yeah.
what's your big takeaway?
Mm.
Is crypto on shaky ground, or is this just like the normal ebb and flow of a growing market?
I think that's the $1 million question, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
I think this week's news really just highlights, the incredible dynamism of the crypto world. You see the volatility, the growing pains, but also this incredible potential.
Yeah, I see it.
I think what I find really fascinating is how these internal crypto factors,
Like what?
like those whale moves we talked about,
Right.
are interacting with these external forces.
Okay.
Like global events and regulations.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that crypto is not an island.
No.
It's intrinsically connected to the larger financial and geopolitical landscape.
It really is. It's like we can't separate them anymore.
Nope.
And that's what makes it so fascinating.
Totally.
Well, you have given us a lot to think about this week. Those currents are definitely swirling.
Yeah.
So until next time.
Yes.
Pretty cool, guys. AI generated, covering the news of the week. Absolutely amazing, guys. That's Swift blockchain. Yeah, all of you Swift fans out there. Yes, there you go. You wanted to know what Swift is doing? Now you know, right? Big things popping, little things stopping. Let's go back over to the JASMY chart. We'll get into the the comment section, the chat, see what's going on out there. All right, guys, as always, make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe to the channel. WF Capital, let's go, baby. Good to see you, man. Well, on JASMY to the moon. Absolutely, man. William, my friend, my brother from another mother. What's up, man? WF Capital in the house. I'm stoked for the election. Yes, tomorrow, guys. I'm thinking about streaming it. I have to check to see if YouTube will actually let me, though. That's the thing of it, right? So, Lord of the Realm, what's up, buddy? Sun is hot in the house. Funky, howdy, howdy. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man. Tomorrow's the big day. Afterwards, crypto should start to rocket up. I agree, guys. I agree. Let me actually put on the screen. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, that's the hourly. Okay, so if we go over to the daily. All right, so we're going to jump over to Bitcoin's chart here because I want to show you something, okay? While I'm in the chat, I'm going to leave this on the screen so you guys can see where we were in the last election. I show this every day, guys, just to remind people. Okay, this here was the last election, 2020 election, November 5th. And boom, immediately after we went parabolic. Okay, so that's where we are right now. We'll see if we follow the trend from the last bull run. Doge is pumping nicely right now. If Trump wins tomorrow, I expect a big old pop. Yes. What I would say, though, is to be careful, guys, because generally when the general consensus in the market thinks that it's going one way, it usually goes the other. So if everyone's anticipating a massive pump tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, regardless of who wins, then odds are we'll see a bit of a correction instead, right? Come on, Trump. Yes, says Chris. Finally made a live stream. Been swamped with nurses. Well, I hope you're doing well in school, my friend. I hope, and it's fantastic to see you, man. USA is going down in the gutters if Harris wins. Les, good morning, my friend. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Tedious. Surprising the BTC ETFs hasn't really caused any. Well, that's because most of them are being purchased OTC, right? That's over the counter, which means it doesn't affect the spot market, the price of the market. But that's why we talked about how reserves exchanges on OTC are dwindling to nothing, because then these big hedge funds and stuff are going to have to start purchasing it through the exchanges like you and I do. That is when it will start to affect the price. Dumb Money picked up 100 million MAGA. Yes. What I said, Willie, Dumb Money, is actually that I'm selling mine about 48 hours after the election. And also, we shouldn't discuss things that we talk about in the Patreon over on the main channel, because that's the point in people getting in on these swing trades over on the Patreon. Right, brother? Bruno, what's up, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Beebs, scam. Beebs misses the Max and Rob live stream. Scam. KD, this is this weekly update talk. Yeah, yes. Crazy good. Yeah, it was good. I'm going to start covering that more often. Patience is a virtue. Yes, absolutely. All right, guys. So listen, we are all caught up in the news. We are all caught up in the chat. So I got to get out of here. I got to get to the gym. I will be back this evening for another live stream. So I'll see you guys then. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thanks for being here, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Guys, get over to the Patreon. We have a couple of active swing trades right now over there that you're going to want to get involved in. And you can also book one-on-one coaching calls with me. We Zoom call you for an hour. We also do Zoom calls as a group where everyone's involved together. We chat about all the things crypto, from self-custody wallets to taxes and taking profits and everything in between, guys. Everything, swing trades, all kinds of stuff. So get over to the Patreon. The link's down below, and I'll see you guys later.